Please, no clickbait, and get to the point. The myth, the legend, Nicky Steez. Come to my channel, you know the deal. Yo, boy, always keep things real. I'm simply statue things and slate, coming unrealistic magic. 2K takes for the clip. Even though cats like that get views closer to the milli. Never hear me preach, look on to Philly. The more you watch the Eagles all the way through the early 22. Authentic talk, forget what others do. Come to my channel, you know the deal. Yo, boy, always keep things real. The 24/7, 365 way. Sports content for the real to fill the day.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk with Nicky Steez. We're here on Tuesday, July 9th, rocking it as we're getting closer to the 2024 Summer Olympics. We also got NBA Summer League going on. We got a few big transactions going on in the NBA. And we also are getting closer to the NFL season. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, man. But yes, sir, that's the agenda for today. As you can tell by the you see the banner, I'm going to talk about the 2024 Summer Olympics, specifically the basketball side, because let's face it, with this channel, with all the viewers of the Hardcore Sports Network, with everything going on, we know what people want to talk about the most, and that's basketball, specifically the men's basketball, with all due respect to the women, but we know mainly that's what you're here for. Now, as far as the women goes, to be fair, we do have some people on the network like Next Shift Randy, Coach Ed Gladdy, that talk about the women's basketball. So if you guys want to hear more talk about that, you can hit them up. But let's get into it. So, yeah, shout out to my compadres on the Pick and Roll podcast, Coach Ed Gladdy, Next Shift Randy. But let's get into it. So we're going to talk a little bit, start a little USA team, Team USA. That's the main team that people here are paying attention to see what goes down. We're briefly going to do a run through of their roster. So the USA men's basketball team roster, it's going to consist of Bam Adebayo, Devin Booker, Steph Curry, AD, Anthony Davis, the unibrow, Kevin Durant, the snake. Sorry, I had to, but Anthony Edwards, that's right, making his first Olympics. 76er star Joel Embiid, who will be in the Olympics. Tyrese Halliburton from the Pacers. Drew Holiday, fresh off a championship win with the Boston Celtics. LeBron James, of course, looking to get another gold medal. Kawhi Leonard looking for his first gold medal. And Jason Tatum from the Boston Celtics. That is what our lineup is looking like, folks, for Team USA. And so far, but we still got a few more weeks now before we start the Olympics, before we actually see this team in action. But so far, they are in the C bracket right here. I was going to pull up the schedule in just a second for you guys and show it with you. Share the screen. You guys can see the schedule for yourselves. But here it goes. So it starts July 28th, USA versus Serbia. That means Nikia Jokic for Serbia. We will see him, and we'll see what that team does. Then we play on the 31st, last day of July, South Sudan. August 3rd, then we got Puerto Rico. So that's our main schedule for the opening bracket. The way it looks like we should be able to win those games. We should be able to beat South Sudan and Puerto Rico. And Serbia, we should be able to beat them too. I mean, and obviously from our standpoint, though, too, it's obvious. We're all going to come into this thinking, oh, Team USA is going to blow through this, right? But we don't know that for sure. There's no guarantee. We've lost some of the FIBA games before. We lost the 2004 Olympics, remember, with AI, Marbury, LeBron, Carmelo, and them. So there's no guarantee. On paper, it looks like, oh, we got to have the best roster. We got to have the best roster. Well, we don't know that for sure because we're not that familiar with a lot of these European players. We're only familiar with NBA stars that are going home, like Jokic for Serbia or Giannis for Greece, and even which I'll get more to that in a minute. However, the point being is, yeah, we're only familiar with our guys. We're familiar with Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards, Embiid, LeBron, KD, and Bam Adebayo, those guys that are going to be on the team. So we know what they can do. But the question is, can Team USA play together? Because ever since we started using professional athletes for the Summer Olympics, yeah, we've been dominating, but we've also lost a few along the lines. Remember 2004, we got the bronze. Remember with AI, Marbury, and them, like I said. So there's no guarantee we win it. So the question is, can this team mesh well together? We even seen the FIBA games. We lost last year. Can we actually mesh well together? Can all these pieces actually do what they need to? That's the question. A big fan of the Olympics. I'm going to be an uncle. It's a girl. That's great news right there. Little Griffith, congratulations on being an uncle, upcoming being an uncle. And yeah, hopefully these Olympics will be fun to watch. Now, we don't know for sure if they're going to be fun, but they will definitely be interesting for sure. It's going to be interesting to see. Mainly, I'm interested, obviously, to see Team USA. Also interested to see Team Canada, which I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And also another one is Team France, because those are the three teams that are loaded most with NBA players. And I'll give a shout out to Team Canada and Team France, acknowledge their starting lineup, because they look like the best going into it. But hey, but time will tell how this ultimately pans out. How do our guys mesh as a team? How does Embiid mesh with KD, LeBron? Do these guys play off each other well? Is there a disciplined structure put in like Coach K did put in for the Redeem team in 2008 with all those guys, with Kobe, Pierce, Dwight, not Pierce, Kobe, Chris Paul, Jason Kidd, Dwight Howard, and all those guys? Are we able to do the same this time around? That's the question. And right now I'm going to give an overview. Right now, but yeah, we're going to see what happens though. Ultimately, we still got a few more weeks. The team's got time to get the chemistry together to see what happens. And we'll also be talking about more on Pick and Roll podcast. But now I'm going to do a brief overview of some of the other teams. So for Team Canada, like I said, they're one of the two teams I'm interested in. I'm going to talk about them a little bit. You got Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And the reason I'm not sharing the screen with you guys, for those of you that don't know, my computer has a history, unfortunately, of getting overheated when I have too many tabs up. So I have to do this off my Kindle and read it off to you guys. I'm reading this from Microsoft. It's from MSN. But yeah, so Team Canada, you're going to have Nickeil Alexander-Walker, RJ Barrett, Dylan Brooks, Lukanets Dort from the Thunder, SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Trey Lyles from the Kings, Jamal Murray from the Nuggets, Andrew Nembhard from the Pacers, Kelly Olynyk from the Raptors, and Dwight Powell from the Mavericks. That's the guys from the NBA that's going to be representing Team Canada. That looks like some nice oh, wait, there's more. And you got Nick Batum. Wait, no, that's France. But yeah, France. Now we're going to get to France. You got some nice guys from France, too. You got Nick Batum, Billy Colwell from the Wizards, Ousmane Dieng from the Thunder, Evan Fournier of the Pistons, Rudy Gobert, Theo Maledon from the Suns, and of course the French phenom, Mr. Victor Wembanyama himself. And that looks like a nice lineup there for both sides. France, you got Batum in the Olympics. He can provide those rebounds for them. You got Wemby, of course. Rudy Gobert, I mean, he'll do good at times. He'll match up well. You get Evan Fournier from the Pistons. That looks like a good lineup right there. Same with Team Canada. You got SGA and Jamal Murray on the same team. RJ Barrett's there too. Nickeil Alexander-Walker. All those guys playing together. That looks like that's going to be a tough team to beat. I'm thinking, don't be surprised if as we get closer toward the gold medal, we see Team USA going against Team Canada or going against Team France. So those are the three teams I'm looking out for the most. And also, wait, and you do have Greece too with Giannis in there as well. That's going to be a good one right there. I mean, and we know Greece did defeat Slovenia to qualify. So unfortunately for the Luka Doncic fans, we won't be seeing him in these Olympics, unfortunately. But yeah, we got a good amount of stars. This is too, when I think about it, it's interesting, these Olympics, because we're actually got some stars here, not just for Team USA, but all across the world for these Olympics. You're going to have Giannis for Greece, of course, Jokic for Serbia. I just listed off the Team Canada and Team France guys. Those are going to be interesting lineups to see. Oh, I do think there's actually something to be excited about for these Olympics. I mean, it was hard to kind of get into it at times throughout the years because it was in the earlier, like the 90s, 2000s, even into the early 2010s. It was pretty much just Team USA show in the Summer Olympics, minus that 2004 run. But now there's actually a possibility that countries like Canada and France could win it. So that's something I'm looking forward to right there. Now, of course, Team USA is always going to be the projected favorites to win the gold, especially for Americans that know our team. We know our players, but you can't sleep on some of these other teams too. You can't sleep on them. You have to see what happens. We still got a few more weeks, though. I can see Team USA, like I said, especially winning out on this series right here. That bracket that I just listed, the only team that I'm really concerned with that could maybe give us a problem is Serbia, especially with Jokic. But I still think Team USA is going to win those 3 games. At least get past that first bracket and still keep the opportunity at the gold medal alive. Now, depending on how the bracket goes, we'll have to see how it plays out. But we'll talk about that as the Olympics goes along. So with that being said, I'm not going to ramble on too much. We're going to move on now. I'm going to switch gears and talk a little bit about the NBA Summer League. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're going to talk about the Summer League a little bit. And before we get into that, to those that are on Twitter side, on my stream, on the YouTube side, I do have a poll. The question is asking, are you guys watching the NBA Summer League? I'm going to share that out right now in the comments on the Twitter side so you guys can check it out on the YouTube side, vote on the poll. So I'm going to comment live. So if you're watching on Twitter, I just dropped a comment sharing out the link. But yeah, the poll question is, do you care about the NBA Summer League? That's exclusively, again, on my channel on the YouTube side of this stream. I just shared the link to it in the chat on the Twitter side. So if you're in the chat on the Twitter side, you want to vote on the poll, click on that link in the comments, and you can vote on the poll. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the NBA Summer League. Now, for me, my take, I think, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the Summer League itself. I don't really watch the games, admittedly. What I do, follow along, I follow more for the individual performance, similar to what I do with the NFL in the preseason. The games play out. I don't catch the games right away, but I do check it out, see what's the highlights. You got Ricky Council, the 4th for the Sixers in their win, dropped 29 and got 5 made threes, which was a nice performance by him in that game against the Thunder. Now, seeing that performance, I'm like, look, this dude is definitely qualified to have more NBA minutes. And then some people will always point to, and a valid point, is that you have, in the Summer League, you got guys playing for roster spots. A lot of the guys that play in the NBA Summer League ain't making it to a roster, and that's true. So it's like you look and go like, okay, yeah, he put up decent numbers, but it's against some competition that won't play in the NBA. That is true. So I don't look and like, oh my God, 29 points. This guy's going to be the next big star. No. I understand how the Summer League works. Now, with that being said, though, the 29 points and 5 threes does indicate this guy is at least qualified to play in NBA games and get more minutes. And the Sixers should take notes. Now, he puts up a few more nice performances like this, maybe even gets a few where he drops over 30. That's a sign that, hey, you got to at least include this guy in your rotation during the season, even if that's a bench guy, even then, because that can certainly work. Now, obviously, not every player that balls out in the Summer League is going to be a star in the NBA level. No, because they're going against much tougher competition. However, you see this type of performance from a guy, and you're like, okay, this guy's at least going to be something in the NBA. Maybe he'll be a role player to help us with some bench minutes. Who knows? Maybe Ricky Council eventually becomes a star someday down the line. I don't know. It's too early to tell, but I'm seeing this. I'm like, hey, Sixers, Nick Nurse, Daryl Morey, Elton Brand, you guys take note. This guy is going to be a piece you can use. whether it be off the bench or if you need him in the starting lineup if somebody's out. That's a good time to use him for that. So I'll say, and now also other notable. See, I'm going to risk a copyright strike here. We'll just check it out. Oh, there's a nice 3 right there. I'm also going to give to be fair, I'm going to give a shout out to a few other players too. You also got Kenyante George dropped 30 for the Jazz in their summer league win over the Grizzlies. Got 4 boards, 4 assists. Looking like some potential for the Jazz to utilize them. And then, of course, there's the official stat line for Ricky Council. He also had 8 boards as well. So far, kind of like what I see. And I also like what I saw from Jared McCain. I saw a highlight from him yesterday. He had a nice fast break. And that shows he's got the speed to move down the court and potentially get a quick bucket or 2. And Jared McCain, so I did see a nice flashy play from him right there. Let's quickly look up his stat line from that game as well, see what he did. I gotta give Jared McCain a shout out too. Because look, he's the guy we drafted out of Duke. We expect him to be a guard. He's got to at least have something. We're gonna see what he up to. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna check out, see what his stat line is. Give me 1 minute. So he had 15 points, 6 boards, 3 assists versus the Thunder. Okay, solid stat line there. Solid stat line for a summer league game. This at least shows, okay, these guys can go out there. Now, this is only 1 game for Jared McCain, to be fair. I'm still not going to jump the gun yet and say, oh, he's NBA ready. I want to see if he can have a few repeat performances. Now, whereas Ricky Council, he did get some time, and he at least showed he could do something with that time. Whereas Jared McCain, he hasn't officially played an NBA game yet, so we don't know for sure if he's going to keep this up or not. But if he does keep this up throughout the summer league, I'm looking like Jared McCain has got to get a spot. Ricky Council keeps up, he's got to get a spot. Now, we're also going to talk a little bit now, even though some of you guys may not like the idea, we got to talk about it because he's a popular subject amongst rookies coming into the NBA. And I think you guys that are listening, you know where I'm going. You know who I'm talking about. That's Junior, a.k.a. Bronny James. And in his summer league game on Sunday, he had just an underwhelming 4 points. We've heard when Bronny got drafted, we heard the guys on ESPN talk about his struggles at USC to put up good performances and contribute to his cardiac arrest. And look, to some degree, it could be, it certainly is a factor. I mean, this young man had a heart attack last summer. And just the fact that he made it back to play in the NBA after a serious health crisis, that's not the NBA, to play basketball if you're USC, that's something I respect. However, though, so far he has not shown anything. He hasn't shown anything except you got the opportunity because you're LeBron's son. And if you are LeBron, you want to give your kid every opportunity possible to succeed. You want him on the team with you so you can help him out and be there. I get it from the dad's point of view. You want your son to succeed at this level. You want to be there his first couple seasons to help mentor him so he can fill your shoes. I get that. I understand where LeBron's coming from, and I respect that. He's a parent who wants to do everything he can for his son to succeed. And he's going to do the same with his younger son, too, when he's ready to come up. However, so far, Bronny, I'm not seeing it. I don't know if it's just the pressure of it, or if he's just trying to play basketball to please his dad, but his heart really isn't into it, or if that cardiac arrest shook him up. It could be a combination of those factors, but so far I'm not seeing anything from the young man that's indicating he has any shot at filling his dad's shoes. And that's not what I'm seeing thus far. He's going to need to do a complete 180 and turn things around, but so far I'm not getting that out of Bronny. That's just not happening. But hey, it is only his first summer league game, so we'll give it time to see what happens. But if these struggles continue from Bronny, I'm not seeing him being able to succeed at the next level if these struggles continue. That's just me personally, but you guys always feel free to comment, let me know what you think. And we're going to switch gears here in a minute. First, going to take a quick break. Going to put some non-copyright music in the background, and then I'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about the Sixers. And we'll talk about DeMar DeRozan. We'll talk about there was a big incident that happened after a qualifying game that I'm going to talk about. All that after a quick break. We'll be right back.
He's heating up. He's on fire.
I mean, listen, we're talking about practice. Not a game. We're talking about practice. Not a game. Not the game that I go out there and die for and play every game like it's my last. Not the game. We're talking about practice, man. I mean, how silly is that, man? We're talking about practice.
I'm back, folks, and I added that AI practice clip because I thought it was appropriate since I'm going to talk about the Sixers to use as a segue to get back into things. Back from a short break. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Sixers moves. Now, there's not much to talk about except we signed Caleb Martin from the Miami Heat. Martin was a solid rotational piece in that lineup. He did his piece right. He just will roll well, playing with Jimmy, Bam, and all those guys right there. And it was a nice, I think this could be a decent role player right there. As long as he does what he did in Miami, he can help us out, possibly off the bench, or even get some starting minutes if he's needed. I think Caleb Martin's good. I've seen through social media a lot of people, especially Heat fans, they're not happy about it. They're sad to see him go. But see, Sixers fans are happy, most especially Mitch Kosky, head of the Hardcore, one of the main guys, Hardcore Sports Network. Also, the guy who, is the host of the Pick and Roll podcast on Wednesdays that we do. He's happy about it. But I think this is a good move because the thing that killed us last year, we didn't have a lot of depth on our roster. We know the team being run through Joel Embiid in terms of having a shot to win didn't function as well without him. And then you saw Maxey. Maxey did his best. He was that good as that second guy, that go-to guy. But it wasn't the Sixers list Embiid through Maxey. We didn't have enough to actually win with Maxey. He did his best he could. He was statistically good. He tried to keep us in a lot of those games, but we were losing a lot of games. The point being is it's contributed to us not having a lot of depth pieces that can score points, that could get rebounds, that could do some of these things. Now, Caleb Martin, he'll get you some points as a role player. We saw it with Miami. He was averaging 9 and 10 during his 3 seasons there. I think so. Yeah, I'm feeling this is a good move. As long as the Sixers use him right, he should be an asset to this team. And I see the Sixers now. They're moving. They're realizing, hey, Daryl Morey realizing, oh, shit, we didn't have a lot of depth when Embiid was out. We didn't have guys that could score, that could get rebounds. We need to try to improve on those things. And credit to Daryl Morey for trying to improve that. Now, will it actually work out? Too early to tell. But, hey, the Sixers are making moves. We got El Captains in the building. Ralph here. Thanks for stopping by on this Tuesday afternoon. Hope you're having a great day. We're just talking a little bit about the Sixers. And right here, we talk about Caleb Martin, how he can add some scoring for us off the bench. And not to mention, I talked about just a few minutes ago, Ricky Council, the fourth, he comes in. He can help as well. Now, if you get Council and Martin off the bench, give us some bench minutes, nice. That should at least help us during those starter list minutes where we don't give up big 15-2 runs or 20-5 runs or something along those lines. We saw without the starters, we get killed giving up runs. Excuse me for that, but nevertheless, though, yeah, so this is good right there. We're headed in the right direction. Now, Andre Drummond, his injury history is a little bit concerning. However, they brought him back for the rebounding because we need guys that can rebound. And Batum, yeah, he's another guy that can rebound. I think Batum should be a bench guy at this point, not a starter. Obviously, we got time before the start of the season to talk about that. But so far, I'm impressed with what the Sixers are trying to do. It's a matter of will it work out. But now we're going to switch gears. We're still on basketball subject. We're going to talk about the 3-team trade that went down. I dropped a short about it. I was a little bit late, admittedly, to getting to it. However, I got to it. Now, we're going to talk about the DeMar DeRozan. We heard the talk being pushed out. Rios from Just Fans podcast brought it to my attention in the Pick and Roll podcast group chat that we have on Twitter as it was coming. And now it's official. I'm going to take a look at the trade details. We're going to talk about it. Now, obviously, the big thing is here, DeMar DeRozan. He went to the Kings. And in return for that, the Spurs got Harrison Barnes. So there's 2 veterans for San Antonio, obviously Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes to help be mentor, guide him. Vic Wemby also to help out some of the younger guys with Wemby, especially now that you got another rookie on the roster. Now that you got, who was it again? You had Stephon Castle from UConn on that team. They can help him out as well. So this could be beneficial one day in the future. It's not going to do anything to spark in the short term. It could help. DeMar DeRozan, he gets to go to Sacramento. He's in a more favorable situation with a better team than he was with the Bulls. However, he is 34, and we still don't know how well he's going to hold up with that team. In the Kings, and with the Bulls, though, he did play most of the games for them. He played over 70 games during his 3 seasons with the Bulls. He was averaging over 20 points. So it'll be interesting, though, now to see how he blends in with the Kings because he's not going to be scoring as much. He's not going to get as many looks as he did with the Bulls. He was getting a lot of looks in Chicago because he was one of the main guys on that team. But now, with him in a new setting where he's got more talent around him, where you got Sabonis, Keegan Murray, and those guys around him, he won't be able to be scoring as much. So you will see a dip in his numbers. However, will his productivity can hold up as long as he meshes well with those guys on the Kings, this could be a nice signing. And the Kings, obviously, they went through with the deal because they know, oh, we had the play-in tournament last year. We got embarrassed by a Zionless Pelicans. We're in a competitive conference. We're getting beat out by teams like the Mavs, the Thunder, the Timberwolves, Nuggets for a spot in the playoffs. We got stuck in the play-in. So I respect what the Kings are doing. They know they need something to help them out in a tough conference, and that's what they're doing. And not to mention, you got the Clippers there as well. Don't forget them. So I respect what the Kings. So the Kings, they're trying to make that move. Now, will DeMar DeRozan work out with them? Will he hold up? If he does those things, it could work. Now, obviously, too, the thing is, it might take a little bit of time for the chemistry to form. You might see early in the season, it may not look like the Kings' chemistry is all the way there with DeRozan, and you will get some people that'll overreact and be like, it's not working out. It's a bad move. Give it time. Remember Luka and Kyrie. We'll have to see. Now, for the Bulls, they just go full-blown rebuild. You get 2 second-round picks and you clear up some cash space. If you're the Bulls, you got to rebuild. I can't really say they're a winner in this. It's just a matter of will they go about the rebuild the right way. As of right now, there's nothing for them at this season. Expect the Bulls to tank, try to get a lottery pick in top 5 for next season. For the Kings, see what DeRozan does, see if he helps them out a little bit. Now, does this make them champion? If it does work out, I don't think it's not making the Kings championship contenders. It's not. You still got to deal with the Timberwolves. You got to deal with the Mavs, possibly come back, making another run. Possibly that Clay could work out with those guys. You're also talking about you got to deal with the Nuggets as well. And then potentially the Clippers. It's going to be tough road. I don't see this making them championship contenders, with all due respect to DeMar DeRozan, but he's not that franchise guy like a Luka or LeBron was throughout his career, or an Embiid, or what Brunson's becoming, or a Giannis or a Jokic. DeMar DeRozan's a solid, respectable player that's better suited as that 2 or 3 guy with the right pieces around him. But we'll also have to see how it works out. Hopefully it works out better for DeRozan than it did with the Bulls. But time will tell. We'll talk about it more as we get closer to the regular season. Before we switch gears to talk about the NFL, which it's going to be a brief talk about the NFL before we go off the air here. I'm going to do real quickly. We're going to talk about it. Some of you guys may not like the idea of it, but we got to talk about it. It was broke by TMZ, a video. Some of you guys probably know what I'm talking about. It was Ivica Zubac and Dario Saric were involved in a nightclub fight in Greece after they lost the qualifying game. Now, Saric and Zubac, they were in Greece for the game. They were qualifying game for their home country, but they lost to Greece, and Greece moves on to the Olympics. So Croatia, they couldn't compete. And then it was there. So after the game, they went out to a club, and there was a brawl that occurred. Now, we don't know all the details about this fight yet. So far, I haven't seen anything. We just know it was a video from TMZ. Now, I'm going to share the link in the chat for you guys. So that way, if you guys want to see the video yourselves, you guys can do so. Give me one moment. And I'm going to share the link with you guys. I'm not going to show the video myself, but it's going to be in the comments. It's going to be in the chat. Now, it is from TMZ. I'm not a big fan of TMZ, but hey, they got the video, and there's a link on the screen if you guys want to check it out for yourselves if you haven't seen it. Now, this wasn't ugly. This wasn't someone splitting their head open or someone getting shanked or shot. It wasn't that ugly, but it was a confrontation and a brief brawl broke out. Now, in the video, spoiler alert for those that haven't seen it, you can see Saric, he's going at it with someone. Now, this apparently, guess it was a fan that was at one of the games, most likely. There's a good possibility that someone said something. Now you see Sarek was his role is he's trying to step in, but Zubac was the one fighting right here. He was mixing up with someone at the club, probably a fan. Now, I'm not going to make assumptions. I don't know the details. If more details come out, I will talk about that in a separate video, or we'll talk about tomorrow on the Pick and Roll podcast, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So shout out to there. It's going to be tomorrow, episode 79 of the Pick and Roll podcast with myself. If everyone else shows up, Mitch Kofsky, Coach Ed Gladney, Next Shift Rare, the Blazed Radio, Rios from Just Fans podcast. If we get all those guys to come in, that will serve. But as of now, we don't know the details of how it started, so I can't really say much about it except when you're out in public, if you know something might happen, if things start to get confrontational, walk away from that situation. Now, to be fair, I'm not going to judge. I don't know what happened. I don't know what Zubac did or didn't do. I don't know what the other people involved did or didn't do. But if it's getting that ugly, walk away for a little bit. Now, so far, there's been no big punishment for these guys yet, but you never know. There could be suspension coming in, brewing. We'll see in the coming days. However, if you're in a situation where you're out in public, anywhere, if you're just minding your own business, having a good time, and something happens, someone says something to you, smart ass, try to just walk away from the situation. I know sometimes, especially for professional athletes that got pride about their craft, it's not as easy for them to just walk away because they got a ton of pride. One moment. Yeah, but I just needed a sip of water right there. And as I was saying, though, I know it's harder for athletes because you got pride on you and you got a certain ego about yourself. You want to believe highly in yourself and think, oh, I'm the best I can be. I'm one of the top dogs, whatever the case may be. And when someone comes up, a fan, and challenges that, again, we don't know if that's what happened, but if someone challenges that, you feel a sense of pride, be like, excuse me, what did you just say to me? Or, if a situation like that happens, you got to walk away. Even because, look, some of those fans that talk smack to you, they see you as a target. Some fans actually want you to go off. Some people that know you're a celebrity that talk smack to you, they want you to do something in return. They want you to throw, punch, or make a threat, or push you. So then they can go and play victim, maybe even try to get a lawsuit, especially if it's a guy with money. And celebrity with money, whether it be athlete, singer, dancer, actor, comedian, whatever the case may be, they see these guys as targets. They like to start stuff with them and say, and then if something happens, turn around, play victim, get a big lawsuit to get their hands on some money. Now, we don't know what happened in Greece. We don't know if it was them, the fans, or if it was Zubac, or if someone said something to him and Zubac took it personally. But however, especially if you're a celebrity in these cases, walk away. Point being, some people see you as a target. They want you to get mad. They want you to go off because they want you to do something so they can file a lawsuit. And knowing how the media is, the moment you screw up and do something wrong, they're going to be on you about it. Now, I understand these guys were in a pissed off mood. They lost the game. But if you're upset about the game, don't go out party. Don't put yourself in public and run the risk of trouble if you're in a bad mood. Just go back to your room, sulk there, check out the next day, put it behind you, and then maybe go out for a fun time afterward. Now, I understand these guys, they're in a different country. They want to enjoy the experience while they're there. I get it. I'm all in favor of hanging out, if you're in a foreign country, enjoying your time, but if it's going to come at the expense of you possibly getting in trouble or the expense of you being in a bad mood and getting irritated quicker, walk away. Now, we don't know all the details yet, but if more details come out, I'll talk about the situation differently. But I just want to leave it at that. I know I rambled on longer than expected, and I apologize for that. But now, let's get ready to close this out. We'll talk a little bit about NFL. Give me a minute. I'm just gonna need some more water because I'm dehydrated. And we're going to close this thing out for today. We're going to talk a little bit about the NFL. Now, I understand it's only July. We're not at training camp yet, but let's go talk a little bit about what we could possibly expect to see. Now, it was interesting because one of my work buddies asked me, who do you see possibly as Super Bowl favorites or Super Bowl contenders? To me, as far as Super Bowl contenders, well, obviously you got to start with the defending champs, the back-to-back champs, Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I could also see maybe the Houston Texans with that big offseason they had. Maybe they could make a stretch. Maybe they could make a push for the Super Bowl. Who says that a second-year quarterback can't make you a push to the Super Bowl? Joe Burrow did it. Dan Marino did it his second season. I mean, there was some, the Eagles were looking like that with Carson Wentz, but we'll never know if he would have made a Super Bowl run had he not gotten hurt. But we've seen this happen. Sometimes those second-year QBs can make a big run out of nowhere and get you on the cusp or get you to the Super Bowl. So with the way C.J. Stroud played his rookie year with not a lot of help around him, now you get some improvement. You get Stephon Diggs and you get Joe Mixon from to hand the ball off to. There is that potential. However, with Joe Mixon, there's the potential his body could give way on him. He might not be able to produce the way he's expected. But I could see the Texans possibly being contenders. Kansas City, obviously. In the NFC, the 49ers, clearly, in paper, they're the best team in the NFC. And on paper, I could see the Eagles potentially making a run, but will it happen? That remains to be determined. But I really see 4 teams. And the reason I didn't throw the Baltimore Ravens in there, because some of you guys are probably asking, what about Baltimore? We don't know if they're going to make it healthy or not. Last season, we saw them get home field advantage. They were the favorites in that conference championship game. But number one, they choked against Kansas City. Number 2, we don't know if they're going to actually be healthy for a full season. They did it last season when everyone was healthy. But remember the 2 seasons before that, 22 and the 21 regular seasons, Lamar got injured. And we saw the team do a 180 later in the season. The question is, can Baltimore keep it up? So that's why I'm not sure if they could be contenders for that reason. Now, as far as other teams, like some playoff teams out in the AFC, you obviously got the Steelers. They're always at least contenders to make the playoffs. Now, will Russell Wilson or Justin Fields be that guy that could help add a little bit of a spark? Maybe. Considering the Steelers have pull-out winning records with lesser QBs, it is possible. But I don't think Russ is the championship contending QB. Not anymore. And Fields, he's a fun play. He creates some fun plays from time to time, but what has Justin Fields really done to set the world on fire? He just produces a few nice plays, and that's all I see out of the guy. But yeah, I could see Pittsburgh as a potential wild card team. Also, AFC, of course, Miami or Buffalo, whoever doesn't win the division. And then again, you never know. Maybe New England, if all of a sudden things work out. If Gerard Mayo ends up actually being the coach that he's expected to be, maybe New England pulls a surprise run. Who knows? And then, now for the NFC, I can see, obviously, wild card. I could see maybe the Packers, maybe Jordan Love takes that next step and they actually get in as the 5 or 6 seed, or maybe even they beat out the Lions for the division. And then Another team, I could see the Rams maybe being another wild card again. Maybe Arizona. And my buddy even said, work buddy who's a Cardinals fan, he says that he could see possibly an 8-win as their ceiling because they do have a tough schedule to start the season. But yeah, I could see the Rams maybe if they stay healthy being in the wild card contention again. And other teams, maybe the Vikings if things work out with McCarthy, if he hits up, connects well with O'Connell as head coach, they could maybe make a run. But yeah, I see. Yeah, it's a little too early to tell, but I could see some teams right there. And other teams, maybe, I don't know. In the NFC South, I just think it's gonna be Tampa's division again. But yeah, those are some early expectations, of course. To the recap, you got AFC, see the contenders, Kansas City, maybe Houston, maybe. You got teams like Buffalo will always be in the mix. Dolphins will be in the mix, I believe. Maybe the Bengals, if everyone comes back healthy, maybe they get back into contention. Steelers, I could see being there. Ravens, that AFC North is loaded, of course. I mean, if everyone stays healthy, probably going to have a last place 8-9 or something in that division. I mean, maybe the Colts, if Anthony Richardson stays healthy and he actually plays well, maybe the Colts could sneak in. That's a loaded conference. NFC, it's a little more simple. Eagles, Niners as contenders. Cowboys, I think, are going to take a step back. I can also see, the Packers being a wild card. Lions, I could see possibly making another run. You do have teams like the Rams that could be contenders, or at least contenders to make the playoffs. Maybe the Vikings, but we'll see. But yeah, there's not really anything else to talk about. So to everyone that tuned in today, thanks for tuning in. I greatly appreciate your support of the channel. Have a great Tuesday. This episode will be put up on Spotify, so you can re-listen to it on Spotify once Mitch gets to it, maybe sometime at latest by the end of the week, at latest. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great day. Try to stay indoors. Stay hydrated. It's hot out there. So have a wonderful day. Nicky Steez signing off, and I'll catch you next time.